Hello and welcome to what I hope will be the last chapter in the saga of the Midwest radio console set that I've been working on now for probably close to 2 years. I'd have to go back and see when the first video came out on this, but we're going to push through to the end. The drawer assembly for the turntable is finished. I've actually put the clear lacquer on that one already. It's a semi-gloss. The tone arm's been polished. Various things. The base has been repainted. It's been cleaned, lubricated. The last thing I have to do is reflock the turntable. I picked up some grill cloth. Not exactly the same color. It's a lot more orangey, I think, but it was the closest thing that they had at the fabric store that wasn't a really heavy weave. I think it'll be okay. I've laid the, in fact, it's right over my head here. I think it'll look okay behind the grill work. And the grill work, that's the original color of the grill work, is that gold color. I had 2 of those. In fact, the other one is sitting over there behind that. It's standing up underneath the speaker over there. So hopefully I can get this thing done. I've got to get the cabinet out of the garage so that I can spray the clear lacquer on that. It's too much to do in the basement here. We've got the flocking material and we've got the device to apply it. The last couple of these that I did, I sanded them all down, then brush painted an adhesive on them and flocked them, and they came out okay, but it wasn't nearly as thick and heavy as the factory flocking. So I'm thinking this time I'm going to use a spray adhesive. Now the only downside to that is the working time. I've got to get it flocked real quick once the spray adhesive goes on. And I'm going to flock over the top of the original. If it doesn't work out, I can always just sand it down and go fall back to what I've been doing right along. But I'm going for a thicker, more cushiony flocking. So I'm hoping that I can get enough on there to cover up. There's a stain in this. If it wasn't for the stain, I wouldn't be worried about it at all. But let's see if we can get that over. Can the camera see the stain that's on there? So we'll move over to the other side of the basement where I'm set up to do this. Oh, and I don't know if you can see that chip. After this thing was all done, I was working over here putting everything together and I fumbled a screwdriver and it blinked off the side of it and put a chip in the fresh paint. So I think just before I put it into the cabinet, I'll get a little bit on a toothpick and just touch that up before it goes in back into the cabinet. I was sick to my stomach when I did that. I had to leave. Everything was going beautifully and I fumbled it and bink right off the side of the new paint job. Okay, I'm going to move this thing over to the other side. We'll set up over there and see how it goes. Okay, we've got the camera backed up a ways. Keep it away from the adhesive and the dust. Let's see how this goes. Now the working time on this is going to be fairly short. But, keep our fingers crossed and see if we can manage to get this done. Alright, here we go. That's odd. Whatever that is, it's not water-based, it's oil-based, whatever that stain was, because it's coming through the flocking. Yeah, that covered it. That's bizarre, it gets darker. Well, we'll let that dry and see how it turns out. I've got enough flocking powder left to redo this if I have to. A lot of what's on the surface will shake off afterwards. But they tell you put a lot more than you think you need. And we'll see how it turns out. Okay, and there we have our finished turntable. Now the dark spots you see are shadows from the lights. The dark areas actually disappeared as the adhesive dried. And there's one or two little errant tufts here and there, but I'll wait to pull those off until it's had a couple of days to cure. And I know the adhesive is well and truly fixed. Please excuse the air conditioner, I had to turn it on. We've got the little pull handle back on there. We polished that up with some Brasso, cleaned it up. That's ready to go in. It's got a new power cord, it has a new audio cable connected. All of that work's been done. It's just ready to slip into the cabinet when all the clear lacquer work is finished. And that's my next thing. That's what we'll be moving on to next. I am very, very anxious after all this time to get this thing finished up. I'm going to go over and grab the neighbor and see if he'll give me a hand getting this out of the basement. The final assembly will take place upstairs in the living room afterwards. This is just too much of a beast with the speaker and the radio and the turntable in it and all the doors attached. It's a heavy beast. So I'll leave everything off of it until I have it upstairs. And then I'll put all the doors on, slide the drawer in, slip the radio into the cabinet, put the speaker in. I've probably eliminated 75 pounds by leaving that stuff out at this point. Okay, on with the clear lacquer work. And as I kept working on this thing, you remember I had polished these up at one point. I wasn't at all happy with the way they looked. They were way too shiny, way too much glass. Too much of a glassy finish and too bright. So I had some polyurethane spray that had walnut tint in it. And I've given it about 3 coats of that. I may give them a couple more, but it's giving it a nice look of patina. And it isn't so brassy looking at this point. I think I like that look a lot better. Okay, we've got the main cabinet and the doors with clear coat on them. Now the doors came out perfectly, but for some reason this came out, even though it was the same brand of finish, this one's all shiny and blotchy. Don't know exactly what happened there. The doors came out beautifully, but again, this was the same product, just a different can of it. In fact, you can see there's areas here that are shiny and some that aren't, so I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to let this harden up for another day. This is only 24 hours into it. I'm going to let this get good and hard. And I've got sandpapers all the way up to 2000 grit, so we'll probably start out with like a 6 or an 800 and go over this and work our way to the finer and finer grits until I'm happy with the finish. Right now it's just too shiny. That wasn't the look I was looking for. I could throw another coat on there and do the whole thing so it wasn't blotchy, but I don't want that, you know, modern shiny look. I want it to look varnished and old, but, you know, in decent condition. So anyway, that's where that is. Now the next thing we've got to do is come over here. We're going to put the grill cloth on. And I've cleaned off this bench. I've moved the doors and the turntable upstairs. I've got the rubber pads gluing on the bottom of the chassis. Those have fallen off. And I made up some new rubber washers for to put under the washers on the screws that hold it in there, just so the whole chassis is isolated. It's the way it was originally. And we're going to set this up on the tripod. We'll get the grill cloth down here. We'll get the speaker off the backer board, and we'll get it down here and put the grill cloth on it. This is the antenna that staples inside the chassis. This is for the AM, and it uses a dipole for the FM and shortwave. Not much of a shortwave performer with the dipole on it. You'd have to use an outside antenna, but this will primarily just be used to play FM upstairs. Okay, let me get the camera set up here. Alrighty, first thing I'm going to do is take the speaker off this backing board. Let me turn off the air conditioner here. It's going to drive me crazy on the video. Not extremely hot today, but it's rainy and the humidity was climbing. Wow, that's unusual. Phillips head screws. I wonder if this has been redone at some point. It sure looks like the original board. A little bit of delamination there. I peeled the old grill cloth off of here the other day. I didn't notice that. Lots of dirt in here. Tons and tons of it. We in frame? Yeah. Wow. Awful lot of dirt in there. Boy. Okay. Did I mark which side was up on this? I think I did. When I took it out, I thought I had. I'm going to mark which way the... I'll put transformers on there just so when I put this back together, I don't have to go through 27 guesses. Make a little mark there, a little mark here. That way everything goes back together the same way. Yeah, I'm surprised. Phillips head screws. It sure looks like this is an original speaker. This is an SP2A. This is the right part number that I managed to find on eBay, which surprised me. And it sure looks like the original board had the original grill cloth on it. But, kind of unusual to see Phillips screws in this era. We'll get this taken off of here. I think I'll sand the other side of this and glue a small piece of veneer where that piece is missing. It's going to be covered completely with the grill cloth, but we want to have as much surface as we can. Put these screws in here with the radio screws. Yeah, I was just so lucky to come up with an original speaker. Man, is that grubby. Grubby, grubby, grubby. Let me get a paintbrush here and see if I can clean that up. Gently brush this stuff out of here. Yeah, the comb's fully intact. I've managed so far not to stick my finger through it. let's hope it stays that way. In fact, that cone's in perfect condition, absolutely perfect condition. Now the field of view on this camera just is not, at minimum zoom, is just not as good as the old one. Alrighty, we're going to set this to the back of the table, get it out of the way. Boy, I'm going to have to do a little work to this, I guess. I wonder if I did that. Did I do that? Perhaps. Is there a piece of wood up here? Oh, there is. Look at that. I'll bet when I hung it up there on the nail, I knocked that out of there. Good. I can glue that back in there, put a plate on it, and clamp it. I'll let that sit overnight. This is what drives me crazy about woodworking. Another day goes down the tubes because I have to repair something and wait for glue to set up and do sanding. The finishing work is probably, you know, the last 10% of the job takes 80% of the time. Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and, well, I guess I'll let it run for a couple of minutes here. Do I have any wood glue over here? Yes, I do. And a plate. 20 plates. That's big enough. I'll get a clamp. Bigger than it has to be, but it'll do the job. I was hoping to get this grill cloth put on this afternoon, but looks like that'll be a job for tomorrow. Excuse me while I step in front of the camera here, boys. Good grief. Alright, work a little underneath here. Get everything glued down, just so there's a reasonably level surface for the grill cloth to go onto. Do I have any plastic down here? Usually I've got saran wrap down here somewhere. Oh, come on. I guess I don't. Alright, I'm gonna go grab some. Okay, it's not saran wrap, it's Glad cling wrap. And tip this down a little bit. The only reason I do this is so that the plate doesn't end up getting glued to the surface. The cling wrap will peel right off. The glue won't stick to it. So, I'll put that on there for the next, I don't know, 8 or 10 hours just to make sure it's completely solid. And I'll pick this up again when I got to do some sanding. We'll sand this off, put some spray adhesive on there, and put the grill cloth on it. Best laid plans. Alrighty. This is well and truly a solid fix. And took off our clamp here, and the glue has leveled that right out. So I'm just going to go over this with a DA sander. I cut out a little masking piece that I'll lay on the grill cloth, and when I put the spray adhesive on, the area around the speaker won't have any adhesive on it, but I'll spray adhesive on here, spray some adhesive on the grill cloth, and we'll stick those two pieces together, and that'll be ready to have the speaker mounted. I'm not going to bore you with the sanding and the gluing. Pretty straightforward. But we just cut this out real quick on the laser so that I had something to lay on the grill cloth, so when I spray the adhesive on, and I'll just leave this on the grill cloth, and we'll just lay the board down on top of it like so and stick it together. And that way the area around the speaker itself will be free of adhesive. Don't know if it matters, but material's more of a, it's a tighter weave already than the original grill cloth was. That's more like burlap. This material is a very open weave. You can see the light through it. I don't know if, yeah, you can see light through it. And if it sounds like I'm getting a little frustrated with this whole process, I am. It's been going on 2 years at this point. I've got so many other radios I want to move on to. We've got 2 of those Zeniths, actually 4 Zeniths. There's 2 of those and 2 of those. I've got a bunch of radios back here that have been donated by viewers, and I want to get on to restoring some of those. I've got 3 months left before I should head back to Thailand. I'm running out of time, and I want to start addressing some of those sets, doing them some justice. So anyway, I'm going to move on. I'm going to get this done, and I'm waiting again, still waiting for the final clear finish to harden up on the cabinet so I can do some final sanding and polishing on that. And I want to get this job off my list, my to-do list, get it over with. So, moving on. Okay, I've test fitted the completed speaker board in the cabinet, and I think I'm happy with that color. I think that complements the finish pretty well. I still have work to do on this. I have to do a sanding on the top. The coating isn't real even. Clear isn't real even. So I'm going to do some sanding on that and buff it out. And there's some places on the side where dust is settled on it. I'll do some 800 or 1000 grit on that and give that a good rub down. But we're getting close. We're getting close. Hopefully this will be out of here by the end of the week. I'll have my shop back. Okay. For those of you who watch regularly, you know this has been a long time coming. And for those who have stuck around and been patient, I thank you. This thing, I was ready to haul it outside at one point and pour gasoline over it. I refinished this 3 times to achieve what you see here today. The first time, I don't know what happened. There was like 2 different lots of clear coat, and I couldn't straighten it out. I had to sand it all down, start over again. On the second go around, I bought some new spray off of Amazon, and I think the seller was selling old stock because it was tinted. I wanted to tint a few areas, and it put big gobs all over the finish, and the nozzles plugged up on me several times. I had to strip all of that off and start all over again, and finally achieved what we have here today. As you've seen here, we have the original sales brochure, and we also have down below here the original owner's manual. Gives you all the setup information on how to operate the set. The only thing that this doesn't have right at the moment is a functioning phonograph cartridge. You've seen the radio in operation, both AM and FM, so you know that's working well. Of course, this set being 76 years old at this point. 49, 50, yeah, 76 years old. Has all the faults of a 76-year-old radio. You know, it drifts. It takes this thing about 30 minutes to settle down before the FM will stay tuned in correctly, and the AM's the same way. All of these sets did that. Back in the day, nobody noticed it. I mean, AM drifted, so when they got their new FM sets, the fact that they had to follow the drift for a little while was nothing new to them. So, you know, they didn't have PLLs and modern AFC, and this set doesn't even have a decent limiting section in it. I walk around the room when it's playing FM and I can hear the volume go up and down. I can stand in places and cut the volume almost in half. So there's no limiting circuitry in this thing, but it does receive well. But having said all of that, I've hidden a Bluetooth module in the back. Of course, this receiver has an auxiliary input for television, which made that very, very easy to do. So, without further ado, let's see how it sounds.
For in the blue of a June night, that one guitar mixing a couple of dreamers, and there you are. Lovers hail the moonlight cocktail. Now at a couple of flowers, a drop of dew. Stir for a couple of hours till dreams come true. As to the number of kisses, it's up to you. Moonlight cocktails need a few. Cool in the summer breeze, serve it in the starlight underneath the trees. Discover tricks like these are sure to make your moonlight cocktail please. Follow the simple directions and they will bring life of another complexion where you'll be king. You will awake in the morning and start to sing. Moonlight cocktails are the thing.
That ought to earn me a copyright strike. I don't really give a damn. So be it. There you have it. Thank you for sticking around. I hope it was worth the wait. It sure was a frustrating mission. I'm fairly happy with the color of that grill cloth. Now, it doesn't show up real well today. It's overcast, and we're supposed to have rain in a few minutes here. It makes everything in here look dark and dingy. But I was so happy to have this done. Now I can move on with several other projects that I have in the pipeline that I hope you'll find interesting. I've got a really, really, really strange receiver to show you next. Very bizarre circuitry. And we'll cut this off here. Let's see. Hit it. Stop. There we go. So that'll be it. Hope it was worth the wait. And I thank everybody who stuck around long enough to see this. I'm the Radio Mechanic. See you soon, and stay well. Bye-bye.